Welcome back, Grammar Nerds. I have a story to tell you about something that happened on the holidays for me, and I'd like you to be able to spot certain parts of it. So what I'm going to try is doing that dictation thing that sometimes we do for spelling. Testing, testing. Is this working? Great. Now I'm going to be saying some parts of the story that I want you to be able to see written out, because that's what we're focusing on in grammar today. Woo! Okay. Oh, I did say woohoo, great. So I have a massive pile of dead weeds in my house, not in my house, at the back of my garden, because there had been a huge amount of rain and sun that had happened a little while ago, and I'd had to pull up all of these weeds. They were seriously as high as me, and I was really scared just going down to try to pick them up because of how huge they were. So I pulled them all up and I left them on this concrete bit at the back of our garden, right at the back. And it was looking like it was getting way too out of control. So I didn't want to put them in the compost, because if you put them in the compost, then all of the weed seeds will grow up wherever you put the compost. And so I didn't want that to happen. And I thought, I will just burn these weeds instead. And I got these matches. I put the match right at the bottom of the weed pile. Nothing happened. It like fizzled and then died. So what you can do is you can buy these things called fire lighters at Bunnings, and they are these they're made of like oil that's been hardened and solidified, so they're like solid oil, and you light them and they burn for ages. So I put a fire lighter under this pile of weeds and set that on fire, and even that didn't work. So what I did was I made a separate fire on the bricks next to it, and I used a fire lighter for that, used some tissues, put some twigs on it, all of that stuff. And that caught fire. Then I would use a pitchfork to hold the weeds above the fire, and the weeds were useless because they would just burn up on the pitchfork, but they wouldn't catch fire and be able to spread to anything else because there was heaps of sand and soil, I think, mixed in. So they would just like burn up and then die. I was like, great. And all of this smoke was just like ballooning up into the sky. I was like, oh, I hope this doesn't like annoy anyone. And I had some headphones in. I was listening to an audiobook while I did this. And then I'm crouching down trying to keep this fire going. And then over the fence, my neighbor pops his head over and says, "You're not supposed to be doing that." And I was like, oh no! I was like, oh really? And he was pointing his finger at me over the fence, and he said, yes, this has been illegal for 20 years. You're not allowed to have fires in your backyard. I was like, oh, is that right? And I kind of thought that it might have been like that, but I wasn't 100% sure. And he was like, yes, and if you keep filling my house with smoke, I'm going to call the fire brigade. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I was like, oh, sorry. And I said, I'll put it out now. And he said, yes, I think that'd be good. And so, yeah, I'd never met this neighbor before. He's just some old guy that lives at over the back fence. And yeah, so now I'm not sure that we're going to be friends. So that's something that happened in our holidays. So instead of lighting the weeds all on fire, I just threw the weeds over his fence. Now that's not true. I would never do that. Check it out, it's still going. Wow, that's cool. Okay, now year 5. This is the strategy that I want you to write down. This might be a new word for you. Preposition. And the key to this word is in this part, position. Usually it tells you where something happens, although it can also be when, how, or why. So you can see in this story that I've read out that we would have a bunch of prepositions. So I said originally, in my house. That was a mistake. I meant at the back of my garden. On this concrete bit at the back. So I missed some of my words. I'm not sure why. It was getting way too out of control. So I do all of the weed seeds. At the bottom of the compost pile, of the weed pile. At Bunnings. Under this pile of meant to be weeds, not weed. Hold the weeds above the fire. There we go. So there's a bunch of them in there, year fives. And they usually, when it's telling you where, it starts with like in, on, at, above. So that's your clue for when you're looking for this in your grammar unit, because what we're doing today is prepositional phrases. So phrases with a preposition. And these are actually really good for your writing because it makes it way more interesting. When you give people a little bit of extra information about how something is done, where, why, how. Did I say how already? How, where, why, when. For example, on the holidays, I got bored counting all the money in my vault. Bonus, 2 prepositions in there. Can you spot them? On the holidays, in my vault. So they're the prepositions. That's the key for where the prepositional phrase starts. So in my vault is the prepositional phrase because it starts with in. On the holidays, prepositional phrase because it starts with on. There we go. My chicken laid an egg in the sink. Preposition is in because it tells you where, and in the sink is the whole prepositional phrase. There we go. Now, here's what you got to do. Let's do the first question together. Here's your grammar book page. And usually year fives, the blue boxes are really helpful to help you see a bit more, to give you a bit more information. They are very helpful. Make sure you read them. Tells you heaps of common prepositions. So number 1, read Prepper Boy at the pool. Then write prepositions from the list above that are also in the comic strip. So let's have a look. We're looking for words like about, at, above, along, all those sorts of words. Here we go. So it says, Prepper Boy is spending his day off at the local pool. First one, at. He arrives very early in the morning. At the local pool, in the morning. Find a great spot near the kiosk. So there are the first few prepositions, year fives. That would be what you write for question 1. But of course, there's actually a bunch in there. See if you can find them all. Now remember, also, when you've done this, correct from the grammar answers that will be on Schoolbox so that you can actually see how you went and give yourselves a little bit of feedback, and then upload it for us as teachers to have a look as well. Okay, thanks, grammar nerds. Let us know if you have any questions. Post your questions in the forum with the question as the title, and let us know. Okay, thanks. Bye.